Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy 2021. Kraig, Kann, Mike, Mooney. We are back. And sorry for the little lag, a couple of technical things as we kick off the new year. Needed to make sure we had the perfect feed. I mean, we didn't want to start with anything that was, a little bit delayed or a little bit glitchy or anything like that. But we are ready to rock. Mike, good to be with you, buddy. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, brother. Great to see you. Great to be back. Been so excited. It's hard to believe, man. It's January 22nd. How did that happen? I have no idea, but I'm just so glad to start this Thursday morning off with you, buddy, and catch up and talk more about what we're doing and what's going on. This is going to be a great morning.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We got a lot of fun conversation. I'm excited about that, and some interesting topics as well. I got to ask you this, like, we're already on the 20th, and I know I've been busy, you've been busy, and so we waited a few weeks to kind of kick this thing off. What have you been doing?
Nothing. Yeah, hanging out.
Not much?
Just enjoying my day, foot rubs, shoulder massages.
Yeah.
No, man, I've been, the holiday season for me personally, was great. Just a lot of reflection, a lot of like internal work, but it also kind of like opened up some new ideas and plans for my practice, for my messages around some of the talks I'm giving, some of the programs that I'm creating. Just really trying to refine back into the business and take this little bit of time to work on the business instead of just in the business, which we tend to find ourselves doing all the time. So yeah, it's been great, man. I'll tell you. But it's funny. I got a number of texts from friends and people who have been tuning in regularly and watching us and saying, "Hey, when are you guys coming back? Hey, I want to start my Thursday again with you guys. When are you going?" So this is one of those habits and rituals that I enjoy, and I'm just grateful that so many others do too.
No doubt about it. When we started this thing back when, I was looking at our history, and we're going to get into that a little bit. This is number 25. So, we could have done more. We had to take a couple of weeks off here and there, people traveling, doing their thing, but 25 episodes, really cool. And one of the things we're going to do today is we're actually going to kind of look backward at some of the things that we were doing. So with that, I want to say welcome back. Elevating You. In case you're just joining us for the first time, Reaching Your Peak. This is career conversation. We don't claim to be the experts on every single thing, but I do believe Mike's got some expertise in a few areas. And I would actually like to believe that I got a couple of things to say that might be helpful to people as well. With that, I want to kind of go back, Mike, if I can, to some of the topics that we talked about last year. And these were just some. You and I talked about this, where we were focusing our attention and some of the things that we discussed. And I've put some of them. These are not obviously 25 episodes there. Some of them in front of people. So new job challenges, we talked about that. Getting out of your own way, finding your purpose. I highlighted a few of them here. Okay. And again, we don't have time to go through all of these, but I think it's a little bit eye-opening in some of the conversations that we had. Taking control in uncertain times kind of ties into the COVID experience. And so let's just briefly touch on that one. And if you can remember back to some of the things that you talked about, I would start it with this. Uncertain times have basically engulfed all of us. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen. We don't know about our businesses that we're running, whether we're a part of a corporation, whether we're looking for a new job ourselves. And the idea being, hey, it's really up to you. You can't just sit back and let it happen and let it fall into your lap. Look, I'm all about faith and believing that things happen for a reason, but you got to take some control. What was your take on that?
Yeah, as I'm thinking back to that, and I'm looking at this list, when I think of the word control, I always come back to the three things that we only can truly control in our lives, and that's our attitude, our decisions, and our behaviors. And I'm a big believer that regardless of the circumstance or the situation you find yourself in, whether you think it's a sure thing or it's something where you feel like you're standing on sand, if you take control of those three things, attitude, decisions, behavior, I believe that you're going to be able to meet those uncertain times or those challenges from a place where you're rooted in yourself, right? Instead of being reactionary to what's coming at me, oh my gosh, everything's on fire. It's okay. How do I want to act in this situation and not just react to it?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So pain experience forward was another one that we talked about.
Yeah.
I actually like the time we spent time talking about career burnout or just feeling stuck, because there are a lot of people that are like, you know what, I'm just not loving my job. I don't know how to get out of this potential industry that I'm in, or where I want to go, all of that. But pain experience forward, I thought, was a great topic for us, because we talked about looking back, right, at some of the jobs that you've had and the experiences that you've had, and creating almost a spreadsheet or a log sheet of, you know what, when I was here for these 3 years at this job, this is what I took away from it. This is what helped me grow and helped me kind of move on to the next chapter with some other skill set that I didn't have. And a lot of people just do the job, and they don't think about the benefits they're getting from the job itself. Now, obviously, you're trying to provide value to the organization that you're with or in the job that you have. But what is the job giving you? That's where I think we kind of landed on that.
Yeah, and building on that, it's what is it giving you? What is the opportunity that is in front of you to build on? I also believe, too, from that reflective point we were talking about, have that spreadsheet of the things that you've done. that calls to mind something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, Kraig, and I think you might be able to relate to this. Maybe, I won't say you can, but maybe. We tend to devalue the skills and the work that we've done, because we don't think it had the impact it did, So I think another part of that, of paying the experience forward, is also recognizing the value that you do honestly bring, owning that positive impact as well, not devaluing.
Mike, people don't like to brag about themselves. They don't like to talk about themselves.
Oh yeah, well,
and yet they know their story the best, but they're afraid to share it. They don't think they're worthy.
You're exactly right. And where we're coming from on this, and I love it, is it's two different places in a way. I love what you said. People don't like to brag. Exactly. That's an external, sort of like bringing forth the experience and the value and impact. I'm also thinking about what's going on between these ears of ours, because that's generally where we discount ourselves the most, which then leads to us not really valuing the impact, and the work that we do or can bring forward. So I love that. It really is on both sides of, or actually, both sides, inside and out, of how we look at the value that we can bring.
The other part of it is having good conversations with people. Somebody told me this the other day, so it's not my line, but we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And if we spend double the time listening and less time talking, we can gain a lot from other people. People that you think are great mentors, people that you think can be great coaches, people that you think have good ideas. I love being around people that challenge me, that have better ideas than me. One of my favorite things that I've ever done in any job that I've had is brainstorm meetings and sitting around tossing things out. I love that aspect of any kind of a job. And so a lot of times I write down ideas. I've got this little booklet. It's about this big, and it says ideas on the front of it. Okay. And so I carry it around with me. And if I have an idea, man, I'll jot it down right then and there, put it back in my backpack, and then I've got it later because I'll never remember it the same way. So I think that stuff is important. One of the other ones that we had here, we talked a lot about building brand, and you're always going to see brand in our topics, folks, as Mike and I talk, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get you to think about the brand that you have, the brand that you own, the brand that you represent. But we talked about the money game, and I don't know if you exactly remember what that topic was and where we went with it, Mike, but the general discussion was surrounding the number of people who actually think about money first. In other words, they can't wait to go into their review thinking about what the raise is that they're going to get, instead of focusing on, you know what, I'm going to build my toolbox. I'm going to build my skill set. I'm going to accomplish this, and this, and then I'm going to go from there. So what's your take on that?
Yeah. So, and that's a great point. People get too hung up on like, where is the dollar sign? Where is that next dollar going to come from? Instead of recognizing that the value of the experience and the work that you're putting in will actually be delivering the dollars that you're looking for. It may not be in that immediate sort of instant gratification stage of what we are sort of now seeing in society, that I want it and I want it now. I want mine. I'm seeing people on Instagram, in front of like pictures with Maseratis and they're 23 years old. Maybe it's legit, maybe it's not. But I really believe that part of the message in that conversation, Kraig, was around playing the long game. Play the long game. That's the one where you're going to win. Be patient, stay steady in the work, stay steady in the experience, and the dollars are going to be there.
Yeah, the dollars will be there. Exactly right. Okay, so with that, right, with some of the topics that we talked about, the money game, don't drop the ball, setting priorities, all those different things, I want to move into today.
Well, before you do that, Kraig, but before you do that, I just want to really just look. I mean, the things that we talked about last year, and more importantly, the people that jumped into the conversation as well. I mean, that we have to acknowledge that, a big part of the richness of these conversations were the people who have been joining us along this journey, right? And they've been, hitting us on Facebook, on the feeds, and we continue to interact with them, which is great. But I'm just really, when I look at this list, just so like excited about the body of conversation as it relates to really doing what we said we wanted to get out here and try to do, which was to elevate people and provide them with different thoughts and ideas and strategies and tactics, right? In so many different aspects of their lives.
Yeah. Are you still there? Because I just lost your audio.
Yeah, I'm here as well, buddy. And we're getting the same feedback on the Facebook feed too, that we're not getting clean audio.
Yeah. So you're now cutting in and out on your end. But
you want me to drop and try to get back in?
Well, you can if you want to, and we'll go from there. That's fine. I'll keep talking and you join in. Go ahead, go live and let it rip. I'm used to this. Hey, I just go ahead. Mike Mooney is going to leave us for a minute, and he'll come back in and log in. This is kind of the stuff that happens, folks, from time to time, and hopefully you can hear me. If not, I do know this: we are recording this, and it will actually be able to show up later. You'll be able to see the feed on Facebook or on YouTube. Having said that, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the topics and the new job challenges. You're seeing them right there. Getting out of your own way. Okay, let's talk about that for just a second. Getting out of your own way. I think a lot of people, when they're in a job, when they're in a career, they are focused on what they have to do today, but they might not be motivated. They might not be excited about everything that's going on. And so they feel like they're kind of trapped. They don't necessarily know where they are, and they end up not doing anything. They become frozen, if you will. And sometimes you have to give yourself more credit than you actually deserve, or people think. You have to pump your own tires. You have to actually put yourself out there and not sit back and wait for things to come to you. Getting out of your own way. Yeah. Hey, I'm not going to do anything because I think this, because I think that. And you don't present your best self that way. You have to put yourself out there. You have to think about your skill sets. You have to think about what value you can add. You have to raise your hand and say, I'm ready to go. Mike, you're back. Can you hear me?
I'm back, buddy. I've got you just fine. I just checked in on the feed and asked if it was any better on our friend's side of things, and then I got a response as no, it's not. So I'm not sure, man.
Well, we're recording, so nonetheless, we can actually post it later. Don't want to shut it down at this point because we're on a roll. And you know what? Next time we'll jump on. We've never had this happen before, so I guess we're kicking off 2021 in a different way than we were before. But just know that it's recording, Mike. So let's keep going here, and we'll plow through it. All right. So here's the topic for today. Which is what we were actually posting on and talking about. And I jumped on Facebook earlier today. Where do we even begin in 2021. Now, a lot of people, they are actually overwhelmed by, hey, new year. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where to start, all of that. So with that, Mike, I'm going to let you go first with your kind of first impressions on that topic. Where do we even begin?
Yeah. And I think it's so important to think about, where do you begin? Because when we start going, year one, we feel like we've got to get shot out of a cannon. And quite honestly, you get shot out into this space of, where do I go? What do I do? So many things are uncertain and changing. So I really think that this idea of where do I even start is such a rich conversation, an idea to even say, okay, so what are the things that I can be doing personally and professionally to sort of like really ground myself? This is that sort of like grounding time of the season, so that as we get rolling in Q2, 3, 4, that we really have a good solid base that we're coming from.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that the stress that some people have is you go through the holidays, right? And everybody's busy. You're so busy. You're like, oh man, I don't have time for this or that. And they basically shut it down. And then the calendar flips and they put their new calendar up there on the wall. And I've got one off to my right. I've got another desk calendar right over here. And I start putting things in. And I'll be honest, I moved into a new house and I got workers coming over. I got things going on. I'm like trying to schedule this. I can try and schedule that. And you become overwhelmed. And strategy and planning has to be a big part of that. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And I know that sounds so easy to say, oh yeah, you better plan. Oh, you better think about this. But I think it's important that we start writing things down. Okay, what are my goals? What do I want to accomplish this year? And put it to yourself this way: if in 6 months I could achieve this, okay, I'm going to give you a really dumb one right now. But I'm looking at you, and I know your studio and all of that. And one of my next projects, I don't know exactly when I'm going to get it done, but I'm going to have to do it. I got a couple of things on my mind. I've got a website on my mind because I've got my new book out, and I'm going to have to sell books through the website, which I'm already directing people to Amazon on that individually. But I want people to be able to buy the book directly from me. I sign it for them and I send it out. All right, I got to get that taken care of. The other thing is I'm doing tons of these webinars now and live keynotes, which is a lot of fun. They're all virtual and I'm coaching people on that. I'll talk about that a little bit. But I want the lighting in this room, and I've got a light directly on me. I've actually got 2 of them right now. But later in the day when the light coming in through the windows isn't exactly the same, I want the background to look exactly right. Okay. Yeah. I did this thing, Zoom into books, the other day about my new book. And it was funny. It was an hour and the lighting changed so dramatically outside that even though I had this light on me, it started to get dark. Okay. And so I immediately said, you know what? I got to put some LED lights. I got to do something. All right. Yeah. I don't want to turn this thing into a teenager's room. I want to have it classy and I want to have somebody come in that actually makes it look good. Okay. Yeah. So those are things that people might go, well, those are superficial. Those aren't that important. Not really. Because I work on presentation. I work on helping people. I want it to look good. I want it to come across in the best way. So those are just a couple of the things that are on my mind, but I've got to plan that. I got to say, all right, February, I'm going to make this up now, February 2nd through the 7th, that's going to be my project. And I'm going to get that done by February 7th. Yeah. And so I think people need to set out with a goal sheet, with a plan sheet. There isn't a professional athlete out there that doesn't do that. And I think that's what we need to do as well. So,
to that point,
those are my first impressions on exactly that.
Yeah, okay? No, I think it's great. I think that also calls into play this idea of priorities too, right? Because you can have like that whole long to-do list. Because I've got one as well. I'm working on, whether it's in my website, I'm looking at some rebranding, I'm looking at the language and all these different things, as well as accelerator programs and keynotes and messaging. And it's like, oh my gosh, you can get lost in the sauce of all of your projects and be like, where do I even start with this? So I think the prioritizing is a big piece of that.
Yeah, there's no doubt that that prioritizing is big. Want to remind everybody that you can ask questions and you can throw comments at us. Apparently today, some of the comments are you guys are having some glitches with audio. All I can tell everybody is this. Jumped on Facebook this morning and set this thing up like I do every other time. Says you're good to go. You're going live, and the live stream on the platform that we use said, "Congratulations, you're all set, ready to go." So don't exactly know what it is, but I know that we're recording this, and I know that it'll be out there. So with that, Mike, here's what I want to do. I want to focus into, we're going to get back to this topic just so I can show everybody what it is. Where do we begin in 2021? Like, where do we even start? And these are the top things that we're going to put at people, in front of people, to start off their year. Okay. Now, with that, we'll do this each and every time. And this is kind of the fun thing. And for those out there, I send Mike this. All right, Mike, here's our topic. You know what the topic is. What are your big two things? What are the things you want to start with? And you've got your two. So I'm going to go through and move you right into your first one that you wanted to talk about, which is the word habits.
Yeah. And for me, when I'm thinking about where to start, we talked a lot about like the tactical work that you've got to do, et cetera. But I also believe that habits are a big part of that, because it's easy for us to fall out of habit and to get distracted by other things that are around us. So the idea of habits and identifying the habits that are serving you right now. I know I've got a handful of habits that I know that aren't serving me. So it's really about identifying where the ones that are. And to me, they typically fall into two categories. There are the habits of self-care. We hear a lot about that right now, especially with people, having to stay in and work remotely. So self-care is super important to be thinking of as a habit, whether that's, as a meditating. Like I start every day with a half-hour meditation. I just start every day with that.
Okay,
that is a habit.
Let me go back to that. Let me dive into that a little bit, okay? Because a lot of people are like, meditate. So what do you do, Mike? I mean, I don't want to make light of this or anything. Are you because I've got a book that I carry with me, okay, and it's some. I'm going to admit it's faith-based, and it's some verses that help me get through the day, or some thoughts. We're all going through something. We're all dealing with something. How do you kind of put yourself in the best mental frame to move forward? So what do you do? Close your eyes and just think, or quiet, calm, sit? What do you do?
Yeah, man. So I do a couple of things, and primarily is I will sit. I'll have there's some specific meditative music that I'll use. Sometimes I'll do guided meditations where they're more visualizing. Visualization. Other times it's really more about the energy, and just trying to like really be still in myself, and try to clear out the clutter that's kind of bogging me down, and letting things just kind of drift out. And that to me is very peaceful, and it's empowering, and it's grounding for me. So I'll do that. Eyes closed, very relaxed, sitting down or laying down. But that for me is an important part of my day. And I think what you have mentioned there, if it's with verses, that is getting yourself in a mindset. It could be with gratitude. It could be, some people write down 10 things that they're going to start the day that they're thankful for. It's just about getting the mind right before we start to run and start to go. So that and again, it's different for everybody. It could be exercise as well. It could be journaling, whatever that might be. But I really think that self-care piece for a habit is super important.
I'm not saying I'm Michael Phelps, okay? I don't even want to go there. I'm not Rowdy Gaines. I'm not any of those great swimmers, but I swim laps, all right? Now, I would love to be able to say I got up at 5 a.m. and did it before I started my day, but I find for myself, because I'm running and gunning and busy just like you. By the way, folks, getting a hold of Mike Mooney is one of the most challenging things that I go through on a day-to-day basis. But I'll give him credit because he has the ability to focus on what he's doing at the time, and nothing gets in his way. That's a positive, okay? I don't always have that ability. My phone rings. Like, I'm already getting calls. I've got my radio show on Sirius XM today at noon to 1. So that my producer's already hit me up. What do you think about the rundown? My mind is always on something else coming, and that's just the way it goes. But I think it's important for people to start their day with something. Now, I swim at the end of the day because it relaxes me and gets me in a good mindset to be able to, do my best work the next day. And I clear my head from what's happened on this particular day. So all that stuff is, important for me.
Yeah.
That's kind of my routine.
No,
So
man, I
habits.
love that. I love it. So habits, the self-care is important as well as self-development. That's the other part of it, is looking at other new skills that you want to be developing and learning. Are there books you want to read? Are there things you want to do? Is it starting a blog? Is it doing more videos? So I would just say like those habits are important for us to start developing.
All right, here's your second one right here.
Yep. And the second, relationships, I talk about that a lot. I can't underscore the importance of relationships, pandemic or otherwise. Relationships, I've heard relationships are rocket ships, and they will help you get places. However, I wanted to be really intentional with the word that I used here, is that relationships to serve others. And that, for me has been a big focal point in terms of serving others, reaching out. Kraig, I've got that strategy that I've shared with you and others about how over the course of a year, you can reconnect with 156 people in your network just by making 3 calls a week, setting 90 minutes aside every week, and do these reach outs. If you do that consistently over time, you'll be able to get those relationships back on, in the connection zone. But the important thing in that is really the understanding that sometimes we don't know where to start until we find out where other people are stuck. And by having these conversations and going at it with a heart and an intention to serve others, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How can I help you? I always try to have that in a conversation, is, at the end, like, hey, what can I do to help you? Is there something that I can help you with? So I really believe that if we can look at relationships through that lens, because we often are looking at what can I get, or I need this. I really think that flip, that slight little nuance of how can I serve, can work wonders for us all.
Really good. Yeah. Did a radio show last night, and one of my guests, I asked him what his favorite thing about his career was, and he used the word relationships.
Yeah.
And that's what he was talking about. And he was saying, I apologize for the name dropping, but you know what? That's what it's all about. Yeah. And our names that we have within our network are super important. And those are the people that we need to take care of, and the people that pay attention to us and give us some information. I think that stuff is all really, really important. Well, okay. This gives me a chance to let people know that, Jill's not with us today. She's obviously spent a lot of time with us over the last year. And Jill Bauer's doing some stuff for the Today Show today, so you can catch her on the Today Show. But one thing that we offer in 2021 is this opportunity to join us for a live webinar, 90 minutes, and you get the 3 of us. Or if you just want Mike, hey, you can just have Mike. I'll sit on the sideline. But nonetheless, it's Mike, Jill, and Kraig, and it's one power-packed 90-minute webinar to talk to you about things that can help your team in sales and marketing and presenting their best brand, in being able to tell the company story, in putting themselves out there. There are key strategies and things that we have put out in front of people that are proven, that actually get very quick, actionable results. Yeah. The series is called Present to Win. I actually use Present to Win. It's a series I developed on my own in some other ways. I'll share one of them in just a little bit. But a new toolkit for you and your team. All you got to do is set your team up with us. Reach out at info@kannadvisory.com, and Mike, Jill, and I will turn 90 minutes into something that will get your team talking and saying, wow, what an experience that we were able to do. Now, I want to share this as well, because I just did one for a company in Raleigh the other day, big company, insurance brokerage company. And this is something that I've been doing a lot of lately, which is coaching people on how to use this little camera to build better business. Now, there are a lot of people, Mike, and you understand this, that say, oh my gosh, we're in this situation and I have to do virtual conferencing. I have to do virtual meetings with my team. I have to now pitch and sell my company through this camera. And they're like, I'm way better when I'm in person. Well, guess what? You're not in person right now. Last airport I was in, there were a whole lot of planes sitting there with not a lot of people on them. So one of my webinars, it's a lunch experience. It's a lunch and learn. So I call it Become a Virtual Success Over Lunch, not overnight, but over lunch. And we help build web business through emotional connection, engaging content, being able to tell the company story, and selling your brand to build a loyal following. Those are the things I work on. You give me 90 minutes, I'm going to change your team, and I'm going to help coach them on how to make this camera not just something you have to use, but make it a competitive advantage for your team. So for more information, info@kannadvisory.com. Okay. Now on to my two. And the cool thing about this, Mike, is that you and I come at it from very different, things all the time, which I think is good. They all interact, right? They intersect. Yours were habits and relationships. Here's my first one. My first one is to journal. Now, you talked about this, in the past as well. And what I would say is, if you were going to start something right now, what's today? Today's the 21st of January. Yeah. Okay. So 1 month is almost behind us. But I believe, you can meditate, you can read, Bible verses or whatever it is, a book each day, but start making your own. And by that, I mean, all right, what am I going to journal? We can journal career thoughts. We can journal personal thoughts. We can journal experiences and how you handled it. We can journal challenges. But I want you to take that journal and make them something that is purposeful for you. I said journal with a purpose. So I've got this book in here, and I've talked about this before, where it's all my industry thoughts. It's varying topics, whether it be coaching, whether it be presentation skills, whether it be communication, personal branding, all of those different things. But I write down those industry thoughts into that book, and then I have them for myself later. So if hypothetically Mike Mooney says, Kraig, will you join me on this podcast? I'm not just coming at it completely blind. I've already got some things in there, and I'm starting to see trends for myself. I'm starting to see where I've succeeded and where I've failed and what I've learned. So I'm challenging each and every one of you out there to start a journal this year, right now, pun intended, right now, and see where it goes. Okay. I think it's important. That's actually a good title for a book, Right Now, WRITE. Okay.
I got it. I love it. I love it. Kraig, something that I've done from the first show that we've done is, we have our like, people might think that we're either doing this just off the cuff or how are we preparing the conversations, but I've got notes here and things that I want to make sure, and points I want to get across, as we're going through this. Not afraid to share that, because I think it's important that we do prepare and we want to make this meaningful. But I take, after every one of these shows, Kraig, I take all these notes and I put them in an envelope, and I write the topic on the front of the envelope, and I put the date on it, and I put it in a folder. And now I've got over 25 envelopes, to your point, with topics that we've discussed, and then my kind of thoughts that go along with that as we go. That's my easy way of keeping the ideas in a place that if I want to pull from something, I've got a base to start from.
Well, and here's the thing, folks, when I say with a purpose, so now if Mike wants to blog, he can pull those topics and start to create a blog, and he's already got his 2 points that he's made. All right. Yeah. I think that's really important. I can obviously look back at the slides that we've created, and I'll have my key topic as well. Same thing to be able to do. So my first one was journal with a purpose. Here's my second one, and that is to get social. And getting social with a strategy. Now, you could say, Kraig, are you talking about relationships? Are you talking about social media? What is it you're talking about? The answer is yes and yes. All right. Yeah. So let's start with the social aspect of just being social. To Mike's point, I think it's really important, and I do this from time to time too. I will actually scroll through, and you can do this on your emails. And if you go into the inbox or whatever, and you just remember, there's a little button over to the right, you can see under A, just look at all the people that you might have emailed that's name begins with an A, and they'll all come up. You go, wow, do I want to create a conversation with any of them? Do I want to catch up with them? Then you go to B, and you do the same thing. The other part of it is the catch-up calls that we talked about. Yeah. I think those are really important. I'm all on board with that. I try to do the same thing. And when I leave a message, if I don't get somebody, a la Mike Mooney, I will actually leave the message and go, hey, I just want to let you know, I've got this thing where I want to catch up with somebody that I haven't caught up with in a while. And you're on my list this week. And I just want to know how you're doing, what you're doing. And there's a lot of people out there that are going through things. Yeah. And some people are ashamed to talk about it. But, I've got my things. I'm sure you've got your things. None of us is perfect. We got our issues that are going on. So I think that social aspect is important. On the social media side, and I talk a lot about this in my individual consulting through the web with various people, executives, et cetera. I talk about social media strategies. Now, having done that with a lot of different people, we build from the brand up. We build from the inner core of who they are, what's important to them, what are their skill sets, what are their strengths. Okay, now that we've got those down, let's put those to use in a social media strategy. So now what's the best platform for you? Might it be Instagram? Might it be LinkedIn? LinkedIn's big for a lot of people. Okay, now what are we going to do with that? Random posts don't get you anywhere. To me, Twitter's a little bit different because I want people to know what I do. And by the way, Mike, over the holiday, I got hacked, lost 16,000 followers to somebody from Brazil that I didn't even know, and worked hard to get that back through Twitter. And it took me about 2 weeks' time. I have it all back.
Wow.
So there you go. It can happen to anybody. All right. So change your passwords from time to time, do all the different things you need to do. But having said that, I want people to know me as opposed to just me putting out all these things that can help people. In other words, I think my value statements, my value, hopefully my value stuff, the blogs or the various thoughts that I put out or the things that I share, those are all great. But I want them to know kind of who I am as a person. So if they looked at my last 10 posts, they'd go, I understand what Kraig Kann's all about. So when I'm telling people to get social, I'm doing it with a purpose. All right, what is it that you want to put out there? For Mike Mooney, it might be all tied to reputation management. Okay, then 3 posts this week need to be on big reputation management ideas. If it's something that you share, about public speaking, it might be those 3 things. But I also want to see what Mike Mooney's doing and who he's engaging with, and I want to see the success stories. I love the interactive conversation with people. And this is for all of you out there who use Twitter. If you just like something, nobody sees it. It's only between you and that person. If you retweet something, all you're doing is basically putting something on a bulletin board. That's my opinion. If you retweet with comment, you're continuing a conversation. You're creating a dialogue. If anybody comes at me at Kraig Kann on Twitter, I am going to respond. All right. I might not respond to all 50 of them, but I'm going to respond to enough of them and tie in some of the other people's thoughts. And I think it's important to get social with a strategy. Your thoughts?
Well, I listen, what you're saying there is really the sweet spot of blending the person with the technology, because if it was just about seeing what the person does, that's great. I want to know what's going on behind the scenes. We're all curious about the behind the scenes of what's happening in people's lives and what they're doing and how they're going about making it. I do believe too, though, that to find that blend, to find that balance is really the important piece, because we see a lot of people who are out there trying to do similar work, Kraig, and it's all about the product. I'm selling, and it's not enough about, well, who are you? Do you even want to interact? I mean, it drives me nuts on LinkedIn when I get these invitation requests, and as soon as I see on there, I help small business owners scale their websites. Well, I know exactly what it is, and if I hit accept, I guarantee within like 20 seconds, there's a message just saying, "Hey, come sign up for 20 minutes, so I can tell you more about what we do." I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Let's build a relationship here.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people sell first, and they don't realize we're buying the people first before the product. And hey, Kraig, I thought it'd be great to connect because we share some common interests. Okay, how can I help you? How can you help me? I've had people though flat out say on LinkedIn they don't even want to have a conversation. They don't even want to connect. They just want to let you know that for me to talk to them, or if I'm interested, like they might have a product that I noticed, and they might be, a leader within their industry, and they don't even want to have a conversation first. They're like, "What is it you need?" And here's what my cost is, and you can sign up.
Wow.
I don't go that route. That to
No.
me is probably one of the biggest turnoffs in social media to me.
I can't believe people are actually still doing that.
That's crazy.
That somebody's training them to say this is how you do it, or they're just doing it on their own. I mean, I'd love to see what their conversion rates are. Who knows? Maybe we're crazy, Kraig. Maybe they're out there killing it by doing this. I have no idea, but
I know.
It's not for me. But I love it. You got to have a strategy.
So habits and relationships for Mike Mooney, journaling and getting social for me. Now, with that, a couple of things that I think we want to talk about, both of us, because I think we're both excited about it. First off, here it is, buddy. I got it.
I love it, man.
4 boxes came to my house the other day, and the book is out. You can get it on Amazon. A couple of cool things in this book, some interesting concepts on the back. But I went to Amazon, and this was over the holiday, and you can kind of check and see where your status is on that and where the book is going. And my publisher at Headline Books was like, if we could just crack the top 100, in pre-sale orders, that would be really great for us. Well, out of nowhere, all of a sudden it jumped into the top 100 at number 76, and I was thrilled. Wow. 2 days before Christmas, all of a sudden it's at number 31. And so they can't take that away from you. I'm really excited about that. It became an Amazon bestseller right out of the chute in the category of promotion and public relations. It's also self-help and self-motivation, inspiration. It's in that category as well. Can you get our attention? Standing out, separating yourself from your competition. How do we build a brand? How do we get people to take notice of us? That's the premise behind the book. A lot about the importance of storytelling. And I felt like, as you know, Mike, if I'm going to teach people the importance and the value in storytelling, I better share my own story. So you get that. Kraig Kann, you'll see a pretty good picture of me when I was like 5 years old, all the way to now. And so it's out on Amazon. You can get the book. And for those of you that are watching on this, I'll find a way to sign one for you as well. Pretty pumped about it. And Mike Mooney, I'm thanking you as well, because you were a big inspiration for me to get this thing done.
Oh, man, I'm grateful for that, but I'm super proud. Kraig, tell me real quickly, but not even real quickly. Just tell me, how did it feel holding that book? Like holding when you took it out of the box. Yeah. Tell me how that felt.
Well, it's weird because number one, you're looking at a picture, and I don't design the cover. Okay, they want to pick the cover, but there's a purpose behind this. There's a lot of blurred stuff in the background and getting your attention and standing out, right? So I'm standing out in the blur. There's a lot of noise out there. How do we cut through that? How do we get people to pay attention? And one of the thoughts I had in creating this as the title was, I'm thinking about airports, okay? And we talked about this, my publisher and I, when we did the Zoom thing the other day. And I was thinking, if you're walking through an airport, can I get people to give this 2 minutes of their time? Will they pick this up? Will they notice this in an airport at Hudson's or whatever? Now, you can get it on Amazon. And there's some cool testimonials and some things on the back. But I opened up that box, and there's all these books, and I'm like, wow. This is kind of surreal, and I'm sure you felt the same way. Yeah. And as I told my kids when I shipped them off a copy, I try to do every single thing that I do to deliver some sort of value to somebody. If one person reads the book and responds, and by the way, folks, if you buy the book on Amazon, thank you so much. If you've already bought it, thank you so much. And if you do like it, write a review on Amazon for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. But I want to try to give something back to people, and I want to try to, do something that's meaningful that will help other people. Yeah. And that's what the book is. And so, yes, I share my personal story, but along those lines, I share not just my successes. I share some failures and some stumbling blocks and some things that are real world that really happened along the way in my various career stops that I think can help other people. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I love it, man. Proud of you.
All right. So with that, also want to share this, which is Mike's book, Reputation Shift, which is now available on audio. And I need you to talk about this because I just had the conversation. My publisher brought up, yes, Kraig, we want you to do an audio version, and it's going to be an ebook as well.
Yep.
And so that answers that question for people who've hit me up. So talk to me about Audible, because I'm going to have to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's when you think about the extension of the book, and more importantly, how people are consuming information these days, you can't ignore the audio book, nor can you ignore the ebook, as well. So, yeah, I hopped into the studio, spent several hours in there reading the book, putting it down on tape, so to speak. I don't think they have tape anymore, but you know what I'm saying. Just laying it down there in the studio.
So what'd you do? You hired you aligned with a studio in your hometown.
I did.
And then went in there and booked the time and paid them for the time, and then just started reading from front to back.
That's it. I had a producer in there with me, and of course you've got your, goodness gracious, I mean, your bloopers, sort of the outtakes where you're reading and you can't get the words out, or you're stumbling through. Okay, stop. Let's pick it up from here. Go ahead. But it was an experience, but a lot of fun. I as you know, Kraig, I'm passionate about reputation. I'm passionate about the power that reputation has in our lives, what it can do for us, the way that it can accelerate and create gravity for opportunities, meaning gravity bringing things toward us instead of, if you have a bad reputation, it becomes a deflection, right? And it keeps things away from you, and you may not even know it. So taking the lessons and stories, firsthand experiences from my 25 years in professional motorsports, and packing it into the book, but then unpacking it in a studio was a lot of fun. So yeah, the book is now available on those three channels, on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. And would love it. If that's something that you're interested in downloading and taking with you, that would be fantastic. There's also a workbook that comes along with it, so you can also do some reflective work too.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to need to talk to you more about that as well. So with that, I want to share people next week or next time's topic, which is adopt a sales attitude.
That's it.
What does that mean? And we'll talk about where that can lead you. I have a quick thought that I'll share right now. We are all in sales.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. That's all I'll say about it. And I'll share more the next time. You got a comment on that? Because we picked this one together.
No, I think it's spot on, especially in today's world. There's so many people out there. If you're building your brand, you've got your side hustle, you're trying to not only do something maybe outside of the company, maybe it's just you're focused internally on where you are right now in your job and trying to get to that next ladder, that next opportunity. So we got to look at the word sales and look at the words selling yourself through a different lens.
Yeah. So with that, we put a wrap on elevating you. To all of you that have joined us, not only last year, but today, thank you so much. And we'll work on any of these little glitches that happened today. I know Mike and I were scrambling a little bit for whatever was going on at the beginning and maybe throughout, but I know that it's recorded, and we'll post it up there as well. So Mike, have a good one, buddy. And
Thanks,
I look forward to our next conversation talking about sales, and all the best to all of you out there. Let's all have a great 2021 together. Thumbs up. Thanks for being with us. Elevating You continues next time.